For spacecrafts, there are multiple levels and multiple approaches to guarantee the safety of the space flying. So a crack on the screen is actually not a very big thing from the structure or from a mechanical point of view. But still, there are unknown safety considerations because during the flying back to Earth, maybe the crack can go larger if there are high pressure, high temperature conditions. And also, even the window got broke completely.
И всем привет, с вами снова Space, и вы попали на прямую трансляцию возвращения пилотируемого космического корабля Shenzhou-20 с китайской космической станции. А точнее, самой посадки уже, отстыковка у нас уже была проведена. И мы ожидаем посадку в... Ой, сейчас, погодите.
Got postponed. The taikonauts of the Shenzhou-20 crew, they were, spending more time in space, 9 more days than originally.
И мы ожидаем посадку спускаемого аппарата пилотируемого космического корабля Shenzhou-20 менее чем через час, примерно через 34 минуты, примерно в 8:30 по UTC, рядом с космодромом Цзюцюань в Китае. Спускаемый аппарат корабля Shenzhou-20 приземлился в пустыне недалеко от космодрома Цзюцюань в Китае, вернув Чэнь Дуна, Чэнь Чжунжуя и Ван Цзе на Землю после 6 месяцев на орбите в рамках 9-й миссии на китайскую космическую станцию. И сейчас, если я найду, конечно, где была эта информация. Нет, походу уже не найду. Хотя сейчас. Вот. Было объявлено то, что управление программой пилотируемых космических полетов КНР приняло решение отложить миссию по возвращению экипажа космического корабля Shenzhou-20 на Землю из-за столкновения с космическим мусором. Об этом сообщает Центральное телевидение Китая. Пилотируемый космический аппарат Shenzhou-20 предположительно столкнулся с мелким космическим мусором. И проводился анализ рисков из-за столкновения. Для обеспечения безопасности жизни и здоровья астронавтов, а также полного успеха миссии, было принято решение о том, что возвращение Shenzhou-20, запланированное изначально на 5 ноября, будет отложено. В итоге вот на сегодня, на 14 ноября. Были даже идеи, то, что будут запускать пустой космический корабль и возвращаться на нем, а не на этом. Но все-таки на этом повреждения, видимо, не такие прям сильные. Теперь про сам корабль, космический корабль Шэньчжоу. Основная информация. Шэньчжоу — это у нас китайский пилотируемый космический корабль, разработан для национальной пилотируемой космической программы. Его конструкция была основана на Российском Союзе, но модернизирована. Как и Союз, Шэньчжоу — одноразовый корабль, состоящий из 3 модулей спускаемого аппарата, в котором размещается экипаж. Вот нам его показывали сейчас. Также из орбитального модуля, который обеспечивает дополнительное жилое пространство и хранилище во время орбиты. Нахождение на орбите, но сбрасывается перед возвращением. И служебного модуля, отвечающего за движение и электропитание, а также сбрасываем перед возвращением. Для дополнительной безопасности и аэродинамики космический корабль запускается под обтекателями, оснащен системой аварийного спасения во время запуска. Стартовый вес корабля составит примерно 7840 кг, высота 9,25 метров, максимальный диаметр 2,8 метров, жилая площадь 14 кубических метров. Все было запущено 21 космический корабль. Ну вот, Shenzhou-20 возвращается. Недавно на станции прибыл Shenzhou-21. Первый запуск без экипажа миссии Shenzhou-1 состоялся 19 ноября 1999 года. Первый запуск с экипажем миссии Shenzhou-5 15 октября 2003 года. Планируется, что покорение Мэнчжоу заменит космические корабли Шэньчжоу. В настоящее время он находится в разработке и имеет уже двухмодульную конфигурацию. Ну, как типа Драгона там. Хотя не Драгона, скорее похоже на Ориона. Первые попытки Китая осуществить пилотируемый космический полет начались еще в 1968 году, хотя запуск был запланирован на 1973 год, хотя Китай успешно запустил беспилотный спутник обычный, космический аппарат в 1970 году, его программа пилотируемых космических кораблей была отменена в 1980 году из-за нехватки средств. Китайская программа пилотируемых космических кораблей была возобновлена в 1992 году с проектом 921. Космический корабль фазы 1 следовал общей компоновке российского космического корабля «Союз» с тремя модулями, которые могли разделяться для возвращения. В 1995 году Китай подписал соглашение с Россией о передаче технологий Союза, включая системы жизнеобеспечения и стыковки. Космический корабль фазы 1 был затем модифицирован с использованием новых российских технологий. Генеральным конструктором Shenzhou-1 и Shenzhou-5 был Фаржэнь, а начиная с Shenzhou-6 главный проект был передан Джан Байнаю. Была также проведена серия из 3 дополнительных беспилотных полетов после Shenzhou-1. Первый пилотируемый, как уже говорилось, состоялся в миссии Shenzhou-5. С тех пор космический корабль стал основной китайской пилотируемой космической программы, используемой как для пилотируемых, так и для беспилотных миссий. Как уже говорилось, Shenzhou состоит из 3 модулей. Это разделение основано на принципе минимизации количества материала, возвращаемого на Землю. Все, что размещается в орбитальных или сервисных модулях, не требует тепловой защиты, что увеличивает свободный, скажем так, вес в космическом аппарате. Орбитальный модуль содержит пространство для на самом верху, который находится у нас, содержит пространство для эксперимента, оборудование, обслуживаемое или управляемое экипажем, а также места обитания на орбите. Не имея системы стыковки в миссиях от Shenzhou-1 до Shenzhou-6, они несли на своих орбитальных модулях различную полезную нагрузку для экспериментов. Механизм стыковки китайских космических кораблей, начиная с Shenzhou-8, основан на системе андрогенного периферийного присоединения АПАС. До Shenzhou-8 орбитальный модуль Shenzhou был оснащен собственной двигательной установкой солнечной энергии и системой управления, что позволяло осуществлять автономный полет. Shenzhou мог оставлять орбитальный модуль на орбите для повторной стыковки с последующим космическим кораблем, поскольку единственный люк между орбитальными и возвращаемыми модулями является частью возвращаемого модуля, а после разделения орбитальный модуль разгерметизируется для будущих миссий. Орбитальные модули также могли быть оснащены на планируемой космической станции в качестве дополнительных модулей станции. В ходе беспилотных испытаний полета в орбитальный модуль каждого космического корабля Shenzhou оставался функционируемым на орбите в течение нескольких дней после возвращения возвращаемого модуля корабля. А орбитальный модуль Shenzhou-5 продолжал функционировать в течение 6 месяцев после запуска. Высота орбитального модуля 2,8 метра, диаметр 2,25 метра. Жилой объем 8 кубических метров, стартовый вес 1500 кг. Там также устанавливается 16 двигателей РСУ с тягой в 5 ньютонов, работающих на гидрозине. Также солнечные панели площадью 12,24 квадратных метра с мощностью примерно 0,50 кВт. Далее идет спускаемый аппарат. Он расположен в средней части космического корабля и содержит место для экипажа. Это единственная часть Шэньчжоу, которая возвращается на поверхность Земли. Его форма представляет собой компромисс между максимизацией жилого пространства и обеспечением некоторого аэродинамического контроля при возвращении в атмосферу. Ее высота составляет 2,5 метра, диаметр 2,52 метра, жилой объем 6 кубических метров, стартовый вес 3240 кг, из которых масса теплового экрана 450 кг. И там устанавливается 8 двигателей РСУ с тягой в 150 кН, то есть в 150 ньютон. Также на гидросине, собственно, вот у нас орбитальные модули. Да ё, ну что за херня? Ой, я инвалид. Ладно, потом тогда. Ну и в самом низу у нас сервисный модуль. Кормовой сервисный модуль содержит систему жизнеобеспечения и другое оборудование, необходимое для функционирования Шэньчжоу. Также две пары солнечных панелей. Одна, как уже говорится, на сервисном модуле, другая на орбитальном модуле, имеют общую площадь более 40 квадратных метров, что соответствует средней электрической мощности более 1,5 киловатт. Высота сервисного модуля 2,94 метра, основной диаметр 2,5 метра, максимальный 2,8 метра. Стартовый вес 3000 кг. Там установится 8 двигателей РСУ с тягой в 150 ньютонов и 16 двигателей РСУ с тягой в 5 ньютон, а также главный двигатель с тягой в 10 кН с удельным импульсом 290 секунд, который работает на несимметричном диметилгидросине и тетроксиде диазота. Масса топлива составляет 1 тонну. И также установлена пара солнечных панелей площадью 36,72 кубических метра. Хотя космический корабль Шэньчжоу имеет ту же компоновку, что и российский космический корабль Союз, он примерно на 10% больше и тяжелее Союза. Он также имеет больший цилиндрический орбитальный модуль и 4 маршевых двигателя. В нем достаточно места для размещения надувного плота в случае приводнения. Командир сидит в центральном кресле в обоих космических кораблях, однако пилот сидит в левом кресле в Шэньчжоу, а в Союзе в правом кресле. Кстати, как мы видим, у нас еще не произошло разделение аппарата на, собственно, 3 модуля. А до посадки остается уже порядка 43 минут. Ну, собственно, вот космический корабль Шэньчжоу, орбитальный модуль, спускаемый аппарат и сервисный модуль. Ну, то есть вот, ну и тут наверху стыковочный узел, солнечные панели. Сравнение с другими космическими чертолетами. То есть вот у нас из этого Шэньчжоу, кстати, самый высокий. Но диаметр маленький довольно по сравнению с остальными. А спускаемый аппарат вообще мелкий. Это вот миссии Shenzhou-5 возвращаемый аппарат. Ну и вот тут он располагается под обтекателем ракеты Long March 2F. Ну и вот также система аварийного спасения. Да, космический корабль у нас запускается на ракете Long March 2F всегда. И только на ней. А я напоминаю то, что мы смотрим возвращение, а именно посадку пилотирумемого космического корабля миссии Shenzhou-20. Посадка запланирована уже примерно через 41 минуту в 8:30 по EDC рядом с космодромом Цзюцюань в Китае. Спускаемый аппарат корабля Shenzhou-20 приземлился в пустыне недалеко от космодрома Цзюцюань в Китае, вернув Чэнь Дуна, Чэнь Чжунжуя и Ван Цзе на Землю после 6 месяцев на орбите в рамках 9-й миссии на китайскую космическую станцию. Вот у нас происходит разворот корабля. Еще скажите, что это сейчас, походу, только будет деорбит Burn. Но в любом случае нам надо дождаться, как будет разделение модулей, только потом уже начнется вход в атмосферу. Пока ждем.
Ongoing initiative to help countries prevent or
есть
mitigate the
отделение
risks
орбитального
of such a
модуля.
collision.
Yeah, so space debris is not a very new thing. So it has been there for quite a long time. Even we would say that even without the humans' attempt of sending aircrafts to the space, there are natural physical debris in the space. But still, in the recent years, we see most of the space debris they are coming from the previous satellites, say get retired, and there are some space collisions generating new space debris, and it's becoming a more and more severe problem and hazard for manned space agencies. And there are also more and more research and attempts to actively and also passively protecting our devices, no matter satellites, spacecraft, space station, from the space debris.
Sure. And right now, some live pictures of the spacecraft adjusting its position.
Yes. So at this moment, the first separation has successfully conducted, and you may notice that the Shenzhou spacecraft continues to change it. Oh, the main engine ignited. So this is a de-orbit burn.
Right.
Usually this burn will last for two minutes from a circum-Earth orbit to the re-entry trajectory. So this is the most critical part of this propulsion system.
And of course, as the re-entry module enters into the atmosphere, there is going to be a blackout moment.
Several minutes later.
Right.
So you may notice on this video, you may notice that the solar wings are weaving because, with the ignition of the two main engines, each with a thrust of 2,500 newtons, so it will cause some vibration of the whole Shenzhou spacecraft. So the astronauts can feel this vibration. But it only lasts for about 2 minutes.
Right. So do we have any observation of how these 6 astronauts lived on space? Because there was this extended handover period. They spent almost 9 days together. More than 9 days, 12 days.
Actually speaking, they've already conducted handover before the 5th of November.
Right.
You know that at that moment, the host of the station is already the Shenzhou-21 crew, not the Shenzhou-20 crew.
Yeah.
So because of our return is delayed, so together they conduct the scientific research again. I believe this time the Shenzhou-20 crew brings the 4 black mice back to the Earth.
And now a lot of attention is also on the 3 newly arrived taikonauts, the Shenzhou-21 crew, who are currently staying on the Tiangong space station. They're going to spend more than 6 months there, currently without a properly functioning rescue vessel.
Yeah. As I mentioned, because that the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft has already going back home, on its way back home. So at this moment, the Shenzhou-20 spacecraft is the rescue ship for our Shenzhou-21 crew. Although it has some crack on the window, but still, theoretically speaking, if anything wrong happened, for instance, if a big debris impact on our space station, and it has a depressurization. So if it's not habitable for our astronauts, we will go back to the Earth with the Shenzhou-20 spacecraft. But the situation will change soon. So several days later, as I mentioned, with the launch of our Shenzhou-22 spacecraft, we will have another choice. So at this moment, the Shenzhou spacecraft is already on the trajectory back to the Earth.
And of course, anytime before the successful launch of the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft, the mission will be filled with uncertainty.
Yeah. So after about 5 to 6 minutes, they will, that the ground staff will announce the coordinate of the first prediction of our landing point. So this is very important for the rescue team.
You were with us, Professor Yang, when the Shenzhou-18 mission returned to Earth. That was in 2023, I believe. So how is the time and location of the landing decided? That was early morning in Beijing, but this time it's sometime in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, that's the most important restraints for our return mission is that we can only conduct the return when the trajectory of our Tiangong space station just passing through the Earth is passing through the orbital plane of our Tiangong space station.
Let me just jump in here, Professor Yang, because we got audios from the astronauts saying that they are in good health.
Yes, that's the ordinary routine to report their status after the deorbit burn.
And also some pictures now from the Gobi Desert, which is going to be the
I believe
landing
this is a
site.
video from the helicopters.
Right. And the helicopters are part of the search and rescue mission after the return module touched down in this part of northwest China.
Yeah. So, that the Dongfeng landing site is the second main landing site of the Sizhiwang banner. The advantage is that you may see that on the video, it's really flat. But today, because that we have a 9-day delay for the return, I believe that it's a little bit colder than 9 days before.
Right. Professor Cui, what do we know about the search and rescue mission? Because I understand the teams have been practicing rehearsals to make sure that they could find and to locate and to find our astronauts as soon as possible, right after they touch down.
Right. So usually there is a original plan for the landing trajectory and the landing site, but you know that the real physics is never the same as simulation or as our calculations 100% in precision. So there is actually a region of possibility of landing. So in order to find the crews as fast as possible, so there is some pre-planning that's over this space. There will be allocated the ground and also the air searching teams to generating a net or a grid, so that no matter where exactly the spacecraft is landing, we could find them and we could reach them as soon as possible. Yeah.
Now, as we spent a lot of time talking about the delay of this return mission, let's also take a look at the Shenzhou-20 mission overall, because we understand this is the 15th crewed Chinese space flight and the 20th flight overall of the Shenzhou program. What were some of the main mission objectives?
Well, that's really a great mission. You know that during this mission, as you mentioned, it is the longest mission which China ever conducted, 203 days in orbit. And moreover, you see that Commander Cheng Duna, this is his third mission, and the cumulative duration on flight is more than 400 days. So that's a record for China. In the future, you know that next year, we will conduct mission for one astronaut stay in orbit for about 1 year. So that's really meaningful for space science and space medicine study. You see that this time, during this Shenzhou-20 mission for this half a year, they conducted 4 EVA during the mission. And one significant point is that one of the EVA spacesuit is used for 20 times. You know that the designed lifespan is 15 times, and it can work longer, more times than the designed lifespan. So, you know, the main contribution is that for the second batch of our new EVA spacesuit, the designed lifespan is 20 times within 4 years. So this is one contribution of our Shenzhou-20 crew. And it also, they conducted 7 unmanned cargo from its airlock to the outer space, and also multiple scientific research works.
Professor Cui, also some highlights from your perspective of this mission?
Yeah, I think there are more and more scientific studies going on the Shenzhou-20 spaceship, and I'm personally very interested in the human-related studies or maybe our medical-related studies, right? Because in the future we actually want to see that how long can human travel in the space, and our physical conditions, our psychological, mental conditions, how would that change in space over time? Yeah, so I think there are gradually more and more from micro to macro scale, different levels of experiments happening in the space, right? For example, in this, in the new mission, the Shenzhou-21, they send up mammals, right? They send up 4 little mice up to the space. Yeah, so we're gradually reaching more and more rich and complex biological systems experiments in the space.
And we're getting this amazing visual from a camera mounted outside of the return module of the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft.
Precisely speaking, this is a camera mounted on the propulsion module. You can see one of the solar wings on the left side, and it's looking backwards. And we can see the multiple nozzles and other instruments on the re-entry on the propulsion module.
Yeah.
And the next step will be, that after the descending procedure reaches the altitude about 145 kilometers, we will conduct another very critical action, the separation of the propulsion module.
Right. And right now, the command center has announced the first prediction of the landing.
The coordinate, of our landing point.
And then there's going to be 4 such announcements.
Yes, 4
each time
predictions.
Getting more precise.
It becomes more and more precise. So the helicopters and the ground vehicles will go to with the guidance of this prediction.
Right. So we also talked about the resupply mission, the Tianzhou-9, which is currently still docked on the Tiangong space station. And the cargo mission arrived in July, meaning that the station still remains well supplied.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also one reason we can support this postpone for 9 days. So we have sufficient food, sufficient supplies for our 6 crew members. You know that every time before the launch of our Tianzhou spacecraft, we can ensure at least our 3 crew members can stay longer for about 3 months. So that's the reason they can be very, very confident to stay there and do more scientific research. And that's according to the announcement of China Manned Space Agency, probably this year or next year we will also have a smaller commercial cargo spacecraft called Qingzhou, which is developed by China Academy of Science. So it will give us another choice to bring more fresh food or other things, supplies to our astronauts.
Yeah, more diverse choices, dietary choices. Now, the Tianzhou-9, the Tianzhou cargo spaceships are usually sent up to space every 8 months.
Exactly.
Is there going to be any adjustment of schedule for the next launch of the cargo ships?
I think that could be possible because since this change of schedule of sending the Shenzhou-20 crew members using the 21, we're gonna accelerate the process of sending a new manned spacecraft, the 22, in a short period. So also the cargo ships and other things could also be changed correspondingly. Yeah, and also even without this sudden change, because the China Space Agency is getting more and more mature and confident about the regular missions, there could also be new missions and a variety of new attempts in the space. space domestically and maybe with collaboration with our international partners. Yeah.
And this delay, which was 9 days later than originally planned, is going to put a lot of stress on the taikonauts heading back home, I believe. And you've worked extensively with Chinese astronauts over the years, over the decades. What could it mean to them as they, anticipate this moment of heading back home?
Well, I don't think they will be nervous because you know that we have multiple support. As I mentioned, we have two independent environmental control and life support system on board our Tianhe-1 and also Wentian module. So even for a longer duration for the crew member, no problem. And also, as we already discussed, we have supplied sufficient resupplies, sufficient food, and also you know that we can recycle our water for about 95%. So we don't need more water, only maybe the food for 3 crew members for 9 days. We should have additional food for in this situation. So for the air, for breathe, and also for the water, no problem. And moreover, you see that because the 6 members can work together, it also a good example that they can do more scientific research together. Because you know that today we are in the application and development phase for our Tiangong Space Station program. And the main task of every crew is conducting scientific research. Usually, they have all kinds of research, and some are so complex and cannot be completed during one term.
Right. So
during the handover, they will talk about the scientific research face to face and hand over to the next team. But this time give them more chance to work together. 9 additional days to conducting scientific research. So this is a good example.
And during this return mission, we could see Commander Chén Duong flipping through the pages of manual. Explain to us what's in that manual and what are they doing right now as we speak?
You may notice all the 3 crew members are reading the manuals. So this manual not only has the instructions for normal operations, but also contain the abnormal case in every step. If anything wrong happened, what they should do. So they have all kinds of instructions. So you can see that they read after some time, they will change from page to page to read the instructions. So this is even more important for the commander and for the pilot. So every time during the return, we must have 2 astronauts, at least 2 astronauts, have the ability to piloting the ship. Because you know that if something wrong, anything wrong, if someone is not very comfortable, the other one will be his backup. So I believe usually the commander has the ability to act as a pilot, but usually the flight engineer can also do this thing. So at least the 2 of them hand piloting the ship.
Of course. Professor Sui, would you explain to us the responsibility of each of the taikonauts there? Because we know there's the commander, the operator, and also the flight engineer.
Yes, yeah. So so our current setup of one crew is that we have a commander, which is making orders, which is taking over of everything, and we have a we have another expert in terms of.
И я напоминаю то, что мы смотрим прямую трансляцию возвращения, а именно уже посадки пилотируемого космического корабля Shenzhou-20. Посадка ожидается примерно через 22 минуты в 8:30 по UTC рядом с космодромом Цзюцюань в Китае. Спускаемый аппарат корабля Shenzhou-20 приземлился в пустыне недалеко от космодрома Цзюцюань в Китае, вернув Чэнь Дуна, Чэнь Чжунжуя и Ван Цзе на Землю после 6 месяцев на орбите в рамках 9-й миссии на китайскую космическую станцию. Мы ожидаем начала входа в атмосферу. Не знаю, может он, конечно, уже начался. Нам просто не показывают. Кстати, про саму миссию Shenzhou-20. Это китайский космический корабль, запущенный космической станцией Тиньхунь 24 апреля этого 2025 года. На борту корабля Shenzhou, как обычно, находится 3 тайконавта. Эта миссия стала 15-м пилотируемым космическим полетом Китая и 20-м полетом в рамках программы Shenzhou. Продолжительность миссии составила 203 дня и уже 22 часа. Планировалось 180 дней, но получилось 203. Все было совершено 4 выхода в открытый космос для членов экипажа этой миссии. Продолжительность общих выходов, всех выходов в открытый космос составила 27 часов 33 минуты. Вот, запуск был произведен 24 апреля в 9:17 по UTC на ракете Long March 2F с площадки LA-4 SLC в космодроме Цзюцюань. Стыковка производилась в космическому модуле Тяньхэ к надирному порту 24 апреля в 15:49 по UTC. Следующая же миссия Shenzhou-21 была запущена также на ракете Long March 2F с той же самой стартовой площадки 31 октября в 15:44 по UTC.
Crew inside the Tianhe-1 module, they can use the control panel to remote control of the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft and conduct the manual docking to the station. We've already mastered this technology during the Shenzhou-13 mission. During that mission, the Shenzhou-13 crew piloting the Tianzhou-2 spacecraft to conduct a manual docking. You know that Tianzhou-2 is a cargo spacecraft. It's unmanned, but we conducted a manual docking with a remote control measure. So this is a very important technology necessary for every mission to have another choice, to have a backup measure for our to ensure the safety and the success of the whole mission.
This is indeed a very important point you just mentioned. A lot of people would imagine that this remote docking would be conducted by the scientists on the ground instead of the astronauts.
That would be automatic if it is controlled by the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
So apparently these 3 taikonauts are, wrapping up their journey to space this time, and Commander Chén Duна is very experienced. He's a veteran taikonaut, third time in space, a cumulative stay of more than 400 days. How does that experience contribute to the overall success of the mission?
Well, I can still remember that during the Shenzhou-16 mission, that's the first time we conduct a midterm stay in space together with Commander Jing Haipeng during that mission. We do have some abnormal cases during the mission, and what impressed me most that is Commander Jing Haipeng and Mr. Chén Duna is very calm during the whole process. Moreover, you see that the Shenzhou-14 mission is the first time Mr. Chén Duna acted as the commander, and it is just during the Shenzhou-14 mission we have the very intensive tasks of the coming of our Wentian module, the coming of the Mengtian module, and the transposition of the both modules. So it's so complex. So I think that the Commander Chén Duna is very experienced. So I think this time for him is a small case.
Yeah.
And really, our taikonauts are all pretty young. Commander Chén Duna was born in 1978, so he's currently 47 years old. And the other 2, one of them was born even after 1990.
Yeah.
So we have this young generation of astronauts getting ready for China's space programs.
Yes. And Mr. Chén Duna, that this is the second time he's commanding a mission. I believe that that's very important thing, very interesting thing is that the second batch of our taikonauts, we have 7 crew members, and all these members have already have at least 2 missions. And Mr. Chén Duna even has 3 missions, including our 2 female astronauts, Ms. Liu Yang and Ms. Wang Yaping. All of them have already conducted 2 missions.
And a lot of people would believe that it's really getting busy by year end at the Zhuchuan satellite launch site. So how will the following space missions, for example, the launch of the Shenzhou-22, affect the following projects?
Well, that's every time if we have a crew on board our Tiangong station, we will, every time, no exception, we will have a backup spaceship and a backup launch vehicle for the potential rescue mission. And although they are not completely assembled together, but they do stand in the vehicle assembly building. And usually we have two choices. One is 8.5 days, the other is 16 days. During this very short duration, we can complete all the examinations and testing for the spacecraft and for the launch vehicle, and then conduct a launch. You know that for both the Shenzhou spacecraft and our Long March 2F, all these are very, very complex. So many subsystems. So to ensure the success of the launch, we must conduct and complete all these examinations, no exception. So this is a challenge we must face, but we've already practiced and drilled for this kind of situation. So I believe that after several days, we will have successful launch of the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft.
Now, as Professor Yang mentioned just now, China always has a backup satellite and launch vehicle ready at near ready status. Tell us about the importance of always having this, backup vehicles and backup equipment ready for just in case anything goes wrong in the current mission.
Yeah. So this is actually a very important.
And now the separation right now of the propulsion module
is
and the return module.
So this is also a very critical step.
Right. More visuals now from the landing site, the vast Gobi Desert in northwest China.
Usually, at this stage, we cannot see the videos in the re-entry capsule because you know that the high-gain antenna is mounted on the propulsion module and it's already separated. But this moment, we still have the connection with our Shenzhou spacecraft because we still have a receiver on board our re-entry capsule to connect our Shenzhou spacecraft with the ground staff with the help of our Tianlian data relay satellite. So when it passing through a ground station.
Ну, пока можно также вкратце пройтись про то, как в целом проходила миссия Shenzhou-20. Ну, как я уже говорил, запуск был произведен 24 апреля в 9:17 по UTC на ракете Long March 2 с космодрома Цзюцюань. Далее стыковка с космической станцией произошла 24 апреля в 15:49 по UTC через 6 часов 32 минуты после запуска, после чего 28 апреля на борту китайской космической станции прошла церемония передачи станции от экипажа корабля Shenzhou-19 экипажу корабля Shenzhou-20. После чего предыдущий корабль Shenzhou-19 отстыковался от космической станции 29 апреля в 20:00 по UTC. Затем 22 мая экипаж космического пилотирумемого корабля Shenzhou-20, находящийся на борту китайской космической станции Тяньгунь, несколько дней назад успешно выполнил первый за все время миссии выход в открытый космос. Ага, весело, блин. Ну, также далее были совершены вторые и третий выход в открытый космос. Второй, возможно, был совершен примерно 25 июня. Третий примерно в середине августа. И четвертый где-то в конце сентября. А вот экипаж корабля Shenzhou-20 выполнил четвертый выход в открытый космос вечером 25 сентября в 17:35 по UTC. После примерно 6 часов работы в открытом космосе Ван Цзе и Чэнь Чжунжуя была получена вернуть в служебой отсек модуля Вэньтянь. Командир экипажа, находясь на борту станции Тяньгунь, помог им завершить запланированную межкорабельную деятельность. Из 5 скафандров ДВКД. Ну, впрочем, это особо не... ну вот, кстати, наконец-то мы видим вход в атмосферу уже. у нас начинается спускаемого аппарата космического корабля Шэньчжоу. Что-то, мне кажется, посадка в 8:30 не состоится, а будет там чуть позже. Вряд ли они за 11 минут успеют. Вот, затем 31 октября в 15:44 по EDC с той же стартовой площадки на том же космодроме Цзюцюань, также на ракете Лонгмарч-2 была запущена миссия Shenzhou-21, которая у нас пристыковалась к космической станции также 31 октября. Через 3 часа после запуска. Вот 31 октября в 19:22 по UTC, после чего 4 ноября на борту китайской космической станции Чэнь прошла церемония передачи ключей от станции от экипажа корабля Shenzhou-20 к экипажу корабля Shenzhou-21. И как уже говорится, изначально возвращение космического корабля Shenzhou-20 было запланировано 5 ноября, но вот было отложено до сегодня, до 14 ноября. И далее, после входа в атмосферу, мы, собственно, ожидаем открытия парашютов.
What we see now is a video stream from infrared camera on the ground. And on the previous video, we can see a bright spot is a re-entry capsule. And we can see a beautiful trail that is the debris of the propulsion module. Because you know that we only had heat protection on the re-entry capsule. And for the propulsion module, you know that it do not have a heat protection, so it will break into pieces and burn during the re-entry.
Right. Now, as the capsule re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, is going to go through a lot of changes in terms of pressure, in terms of heat,
and also vibration. So the G-forces acting on the body of our astronauts usually is about 3.6 times of your own mass.
Yeah.
So that's the deceleration you experience. Besides this acceleration, you can also feel a very intensive vibration because of the aerodynamic force is very intensive. And you can see the very high temperature flame outside your window. Although that's, you know, it's very high temperature, but with the ablative materials, we can keep the room temperature inside the cabin. And at this moment, we can see the trail of our Shenzhou spacecraft is still in the blackout area, but after several minutes, when it's slowed down and go out of the blackout area, we can re-establish the communication link between the vehicle.
Of course. So I have one more question about this, the impact of space debris. It could be from a very tiny piece of space junk, but why could such a small piece have such a big impact on our equipment or the spacecraft?
Yeah, so space debris have different sizes, and usually the scientists and our space agency could detect and stably keep track of the space debris of, say, with the size of several centimeters and larger, right? But for the smaller ones, for example, with the diameter less than 1 centimeter, so those are the really ones that is hard to detect them, it's hard to keep track of them, no matter in the space or from the ground. Yeah, and because those little pieces, although they are very small, but they have very high energy and very large momentum. The relative speed, when the relative speed is very high, it can cause damage or injury to the system.
Of course. And any visual of a space mission is quite spectacular. It's quite unusual for people to see, especially when we have those from cameras mounted outside the spacecraft.
At this moment, that spacecraft is already in the trajectory, in the territory of China.
Yeah.
So it's already, I believe, maybe in Xinjiang or Gansu province. And you can see the clouds already.
Very
as you mentioned, why the debris is so dangerous, that the kinetic energy of a space debris is proportional to the square of its velocity. So even if it's much smaller, or the mass is much smaller than 1 gram, but that its velocity is 7.9 kilometers. How big it is to be squared. So that is why it is so dangerous. And even a very small piece, the damage can be bigger than the bomb. So that is the reason why we should pay more attention to the influence of these dangerous debris.
This could be a breathtaking moment for the families of the taikonauts because this is a blackout moment. No communications could be established between ground to their spacecraft.
I believe the blackout area will be ended soon, within several seconds.
Let's hope so.
So at the moment already we cannot see the trail. It means that the velocity is already slow enough. And at the altitude about 10 kilometers, it will deploy its parachutes. So at that moment it's already subsonic.
Usually after the spacecraft touches down on the ground, it's going to take a long time for the astronauts to step out of the spacecraft. They need time to readjust to gravity.
That is called the re-adaptation of the gravity.
Correct. And also it will take some time for the search and rescue team to locate them and to try to help them out.
I believe that the de-acceleration parachute is already deployed.
Now, we heard the latest information from our gallery director is that the Shenzhou-20 crew is reporting they are in a good condition. So it seems that all systems are functioning well as expected.
So it's already out of the blackout area. We can hear the voice of our Shenzhou-20 crew.
Yep.
Communications have been re-established between ground and space.
So usually after deployment of the main parachute, they will be already safe enough. And at that moment, it will be very, very relaxed.
So this mission was longer than expected. They spent 9 more days in space working together with the incoming Shenzhou-21 crew. And this is the first time that China's space mission was significantly adjusted. The schedule of the space mission was significantly readjusted because of space debris. But as Professor Sui mentioned just now, it's not necessarily a bad thing because it really enriches our experiences in space exploration. And as we launch more satellites and spacecrafts into space, and as the world enhances and promotes space exploration, things like this could happen.
Right. And this is also a good way to do experiments
The parachute.
on space desert.
So this is
Так, и у нас есть открытие вытяжного, а также основного уже парашюта космического корабля миссии Shenzhou-20.
We are watching this during daylight. We get a better visual of the parachute and the return module.
So after the deployment of the main parachute, we still have several critical steps.
Right.
One thing is the jettisoning of the heating shield. You know that we no longer need the heating shield, so they need to jettison the heating shield to expose the retro rocket engines for the final touch.
Now, 6,000 more meters above the ground. Can we say welcome back home at this stage?
I do think so.
You do think so. So the most important critical step has been completed, which is the deployment of the main parachute.
At this moment, I think Wang Cze also, I'm very proud of him because he's also from Inner Mongolia. I think at this moment he can consider the choice of her dinner today.
Right.
So he's literally coming back home. Huh?
He's
Yeah.
Работать в топовых зарубежных IT-компаниях. Я помогаю людям устраиваться в Google, Amazon.
So he's literally coming back home.
He's literally
И я напоминаю то, что мы продолжаем смотреть прямую трансляцию возвращения, а именно уже посадки пилотируемого космического корабля миссии Shenzhou-20. И как мы видим, у нас уже есть открытие основного парашюта. И мы, собственно, ожидаем саму посадку. По графику она вообще должна быть уже через минуту в 8:30 утра по UTC. Рядом с космодромом Цзюцюань в Китае спускаемый аппарат корабля Shenzhou-20 приземлился в пустыне недалеко от космодрома Цзюцюань, вернув Чэнь Дуна, Чэнь Чжунжуя и Ван Цзе на Землю после 6 месяцев на орбите в рамках 9-й миссии на китайскую космическую станцию. Ну, тут, блин, не 6 получилось, а даже практически 7, ну, 203 дня там вышло вместо 180 за некоторых переносов. Что ж я забыл рассказать про следующие запуски и космические события. Кстати, есть шанс то, что вот завтра в 3:01 ночи по UTC состоится 2 запуска ракет Falcon 9 с миссиями Starlink Group 689 и 685 со стартовых площадок LC-39А в космическом центре Кеннеди, а также SLC-40 на мисс Канаверал во Флориде ровно в 1 минуту. 2 запуска одинаковых ракет с одного космодрома в одну и ту же минуту. Ну, если это состоится, это, ну, нечто будет, конечно. Причем у обоих это начало стартового окна, и окно продлится 4 часа у обоих. Далее, 16 ноября в 12:45 по UTC запланирован запуск ракеты «Электрон» с суборбитальной миссией «Ван». Далее, 17 ноября Sentinel 6B на Falcon 9, 19 ноября Starlink, 19 ноября также Транспортер 15 на Falcon 9. И также 19 ноября в 13 часов по UTC запуск ракеты Лонгмарч 8А с неизвестной полезной нагрузкой. Далее, 20 ноября Starlink, 22 ноября запуск новой ракеты Hybrid Naru с миссией Spaceport от компании Inosphere. 23 ноября Starlink, 26 ноября в 15:54 по UTC запуск южнокорейской ракеты KCLV-2 с миссией КАС-503, 27 ноября в 9:27 по UTC Союз-211 с пилотируемым космическим кораблем Союз МС-28 на Международную космическую станцию, 28 ноября в 17:21 по UTC Вега-Си с миссией Комсат-7. Также до конца ноября должно состояться, понятное дело, еще несколько запусков Starlink. Также миссия Black Sky Gen 3, Mission 3 на Электрон, GPS-3 SV-09 на Vulcan VC-2S.
20 crew members, as well as we are supposed to see the Space Mice just launched half a month ago with the Shenzhou-21 crew members. And now on my chest, you can see the badge of the Shenzhou-20 mission. It is first ever in the history of China manned space. It is such a very interesting design. First time it adopts the form of the triangular instead of the round shape. And also, it for the first time ever, Shenzhou-20 crew members face the first time ever new situation in space. So that is from my bottom of my heart, they are the heroes. Not only the Shenzhou-21 crew members about to land on the Dongfeng landing site in the Gobi Desert in northwestern China, but also the Shenzhou-21 crew members now in China's Tiangong space station. They are the heroes exploring in the frontier of the human space exploration. So let's send them the best of wishes, and Shenzhou-21 crew members are about to land in minutes. Back to you, Mamang.
Absolutely. It's remarkable that we're witnessing this historic moment together. Here with us also in the studio, our guest here. Now, the return module is 3,000 meters above the ground. And we are expected to see the touchdown any moment from now.
Yeah, just about 1 minute ago, we've seen that the release of the white fork. It's propellant from the monopropulsion system of our re-entry capsule. Because you know that we can conduct the controlled re-entry. We can fly to the predicted landing point with the control. So, because with the deployment of the parachute, we do not need the propellant any longer. So that is the reason why we, after the deployment of the main parachute, we will release these toxic propellants. And,
Right.
You know,
And
that
also the caravan is already on the moon to
Even
locate.
after touchdown, to ensure the safety of our ground staff, we also need to check if any remaining toxic are remained.
The helicopters, as well as the vehicles on the ground, are all getting into position to try to locate the return module as soon as it touches down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I believe at this moment, maybe the 3 chairs of the astronauts has already raised higher to prepare for the impact.
The impact of landing.
Yeah. And in the previous video, we can see the on the far side is Mr. Chэнь Chjunjui, or called 02. He has one important task, to cut the rope of the parachute. Yeah. After touchdown, he is in charge of press a button to cut the rope. Also very important, because you know that if you cannot cut it off, it will be the wind will pull the whole vehicle on the ground. That will be a little bit dangerous.
So at this point in time, as the parachute is floating with the return module, how should the astronauts be feeling now?
They've
gone through the most intense
speaking,
moment.
the G forces has already very normal, about about the same as on the ground. But they can still feel the vibration and the waving, not very comfortable.
No. And of course, it has to do with climate condition on the ground. If it gets too windy, the swinging feeling will be even stronger.
But I have some friends from other countries, but it's better than splashdown in the ocean, because you know, after splashdown in the ocean, the wave will make you more inconvenient.
Right.
You can feel that.
So in terms of feeling, it could be better than sitting in a small boat that's jittering in the sea.
Yeah. So landing on the ground, will it be easier for the search and rescue team to locate?
Absolutely, and it's more safe comparing with splashdown in the ocean.
And
It's much faster, right?
Of course.
On the ground than in the
You may
water.
notice that the direction of the capsule has already changed to a leaning one to a perpendicular one. So
Right.
that is conducted by the releasing some of the ropes on connecting to the parachute. This is also a very important preparation for the touchdown, because you know that at this right moment, the gamma ray altimeter is measuring the precise distance between the ground and the bottom of the vehicle, and at the altitude about 1 or 2 meters, the 4 solid rocket engines called the retro rocket engines will ignite and continuously reduce the speed to about 1-2 meters per second. That will be convenient enough for our 3 astronauts.
Of course. And when is the moment that astronaut Wang Cze will have to cut the rope from the parachute?
Chэнь Chjunjui.
Chэнь Chjunjui.
Yeah. After touchdown, they
Right.
have all kinds of input. They can look out of the window, and also they can look at the instruments, read the parameters. They can judge whether already touched down or not, and then press the button.
If you've just joined us, this is CGTN special coverage of the return mission of China's Shenzhou-20 crew. The 3 taikonauts are coming back home on board the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft. There was a delay of this return mission. They stayed longer in space, 9 days to be
9
exact.
days longer.
And they're finally back home. 900 meters above the ground.
But all our 3 heroes also make a record for the China Aerospace.
For staying longer than 200 days in space.
More than 200 days
Yeah.
in outer space.
And for Commander Chen Dong, his duration in space actually doubled the rest of his
his
teammates.
accumulated duration is more than 400 days. Yeah.
Is that pretty remarkable for any astronaut?
Well, you know,
on a
that
global
still,
scale?
honestly speaking, for other countries, we still need to catch up with them because they have many astronauts who stays in outer space for more than 1 year.
Wow. Now, we've got the latest announcement, which is the fourth prediction of the coordinates of landing. And this time, it could be very precise for the search and rescue team.
So this is
to
the
get
coordination of the Shenzhou spaceship system, the TT and C system, and also our landing site system.
So, for the Shenzhou-21 crew who are currently in the Tiangong space station, will they be also following this very closely from?
They are watching the live coverage of CMG now.
Are they actually doing that?
They do that, and also I can still remember that Mr. Jing Haipeng, the commander of the Shenzhou-16 crew, responds to the anchors in the studio because they can see the CMG live coverage, and when the anchor say hello to him, he can respond.
I'm pretty sure they're also holding their breaths, just as the families of these Shenzhou-20 crew are.
So still several seconds waiting for the touchdown.
And
few hundred
You can
meters.
see during the touchdown, you can see the smokes of the 4 solid rocket engines
all right.
to reduce the speed from more than 10 meters per second to less than 2 meters per second.
The landing site is in northwest
Very
China.
soft and gently.
The Dongfeng landing site, the vast Gobi Desert.
You know that for our new generation spaceship, we will not use this retro rocket. We will use airbags
Airbags
for the touchdown.
to cushion the impact of landing.
Exactly. So that's very interesting. And next
It's
year,
getting closer to ground.
yeah.
This is the moment. They're wrapping up.
Okay.
Touchdown. Welcome back home. And I guess they'd be.
И есть успешная посадка спускаемого аппарата пилотируемого космического корабля Shenzhou-20. В итоге на 10 минут позже объявленного, даже на 11 в 8:41 по UTC состоялась посадка недалеко от космодрома Цзюцюань. Спускаемый аппарат корабля Shenzhou-20 приземлился в пустыне недалеко от космодрома Цзюцюань в Китае, вернув Чэнь Дуна, Чэнь Чжунжуя и Ван Цзе на Землю после 203 дней на орбите в рамках 9-й миссии на китайскую космическую станцию. И сейчас, собственно, у нас будут открывать люк этого космического корабля, ну и вытаскивать оттуда экипаж. Этот процесс будет довольно долгим и нудным, поэтому его я освещать, скажем так, уже не буду. Просто оставлю здесь вот эту прямую трансляцию.
Stand by there. We could see that they're very close to the return module. This is the Shenzhou-20 crew. They've arrived back to Earth on board the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft. There was a little delay of this return mission, but here we are. Our taikonauts are safely back home.
So we can see at the bottom is in white color is the bottom of Usually, if you conduct the landing at night, you can see the. Oh, they've already
The
reached.
teams are really getting close to the return module so fast.
Yeah. Only several seconds.
Yeah, less than a minute. And I guess the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft also spent such a short time in space. It was not ready to come back until
Only half a month.
half a month.
Yep.
But the original plan was 6
So
months.
that's the reason we are so confident because it's only stayed in outer space for half a month. So it's absolutely in a very good status to ensure the safety for our crew to go back.
Right.
If it lasts for half a year, so that's a different matter. We need to have, as Professor Xie has mentioned, a recursive checking.
Yeah. So as time goes on, there could be more uncertainties.
Yeah. Right. So, because with longer durations, higher possibility for the impact of the debris.
Right. Helicopters are also arriving. very closely to the touchdown spot.
Usually we have 4 to 5 helicopters. One act as the commander, one is in charge of communication, and the others helping the medics and other crew to reach the landing site.
Now, as our reporter Zheng Yibing mentioned just now from the Aerospace Command Center, scientists were racing against the clock for this delayed mission, which caused a lot of adjustments on the ground as well.
Yeah, it's not easy for the helicopter. You know that the condition, the terrain is very complex. Not only it has sand, but also that's very sharp, small stones. With the landing of the helicopter, the sharp stones may cause some damage to our helicopter. So that's the challenge our ground staff must face.
The weather is good.
The weather's pretty good. Visibility, not so windy.
Yeah.
And we could watch this all under daylight. And our Aerospace Command Center is still reporting on the latest status of the return module of our astronauts.
So from this view, we can see the rope has been normally cut off.
Severed.
So the Mr. Chэнь Chжunжуya has already completed his task.
Right.
This is very important task.
Now I guess our taikonauts are all catching their breath, relaxing a little bit.
Yeah.
in
So
the
this is a
return
normal
module.
condition. The front hatch will be opened by our ground staff and help them to go out. So the first one go out will be Commander Chén Duна because he's sit in the middle.
Right.
And then, that's the size of the hatch is very small, so they can only go one by one.
Yeah, and he could make room for his teammates.
Yeah.
The handover between different crews of astronauts and Tiangong Space Station usually takes a few days, but this time it was more than 10 days, I believe.
No, as I mentioned, they've already conducted handover before the 5th of November.
Right.
So
right.
that maybe it's on the 2nd or the 3rd of November. So at that moment, the Shenzhou-21 crew is already the host of the station.
But they were still working together, carrying out experiments.
So they worked nine days longer.
This is also an experiment for how the Tiangong Space Station could accommodate extended durations of more than one team of astronauts.
Exactly. So it's a very good example that we can support 6 crew to stay in orbit for at least 14 days.
Now, contingency plans have been in place to launch the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft. It's going to be an unmanned mission to space. And the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft will be the rescue vehicle for the Shenzhou-21 crew currently operating in China's space station.
So we will conduct 2 important missions. One is an unmanned launch of the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft and an unmanned return or unmanned landing of the Shenzhou-20 spacecraft.
Is there a time schedule for when the return mission of the Shenzhou-20 is going to take place?
We are still waiting for the formal announcement of China Manned Space Agency for these 2 operations. And this is live picture now from northwest China, the Dongfeng landing site on the vast Gobi Desert. Our Shenzhou-20 crew has arrived safely back home. And we've got information from our scientists on the ground that the exterior of the return module looks well. At the bottom of the Shenzhou re-entry capsule, we have the gamma ray altimeter because it has radio waves, so we must protect our ground staff. You may notice at this moment, no one is on the back side of the Shenzhou spacecraft. All the ground staff is on the other side. This to avoid the influence of the radiation. So they will use a lead cover to block the radiations.
Yeah.
And it looks like the hatch is going to open very soon. I mean, this unexpected delays could, make their return more emotional, even more emotional for those watching, for their families, for the taikonauts themselves.
and for the 4 mice to stay 9 days longer in outer space.
They probably have no idea what happened.
What's going to happen to them after they've made the touchdown
So
together
this
with
is,
the taikonauts?
that this is a necessary technology we must master. I believe will be the only time we bring mice and even other mammals to outer space.
Of course, search and rescue teams are around the return module. We have one helicopter on the ground, and I believe this visuals that we're getting is from another helicopter as part of this search and rescue mission.
You know that today, unmanned air vehicle or UAV is widely used. As the original plan for the return, you know that the 5th of November is at night. So we use the helicopters to provide additional light for the landing procedure. But this time, of course, it's in the daytime, so it's no longer necessary.
Now we can see as the search and rescue teams are getting ready, there are also bags being placed right next to the return module. What are they for?
Usually we have all kinds of supplies, for instance, medicines, water, food, from actually speaking, the astronaut system. So usually at this moment, the one who are closer to the range capsule, one team is the astronaut system, the other is the Shenzhou spaceship system. So those from the Shenzhou spaceship system will handle the range capsule. For instance, as I mentioned, the block of the radiation, and also to have all kinds of operations, opening the hatch, these kind of operations. But the medics will, those from the astronaut system, will take care of our astronauts and help them to readapt to the gravity.
The return module is facing backwards from the lighting. Does it look like that the hatch has been opened and the search and rescue crews are, they seem to be
Probably the hatch is facing towards easternward.
according to the sun.
Direction of the sun.
Right.
But you know that there is a time difference, 1 or 2 hours, the Zhuqiang satellite launcher from Beijing. So still it's in the afternoon.
And right now it's almost 5 p.m. in Beijing, and the landing site is pretty distant from where we are at the moment. Massive Gobi Desert. So the flat surface really makes it an ideal landing site for our taikonauts.
Yeah. We choose the Dongfeng landing site or this Gobi Desert. One reason is that it's more wider than the Czhuang banner.
And they're going to do a physical check on their
for our crew. And it's not so populated comparing with the Czhuang banner. So this is also one important reason. Another reason is that you know that during the normal operation of our Tiangong space station, because the latitude, the altitude of our station varying in a wider range, so we need a bigger landing site.
Now, so this return mission and the delay of this return mission would mark some significant changes to the following events of China's space programs. Professor Sui, what are your thoughts on these adjustments? To what extent do they contribute to China's experiences in space exploration?
Yeah, I think in terms of scientific research, it actually provides something very valuable. For example, the mice experiments, right? Mice are a very common experiment animal for us to study human diseases, human aging, and a variety of biological conditions.
They're very genetically close to humans.
Right. So we really want them to stay longer in the space, but because of their life cycles, we cannot afford to send them up and staying the whole period with the crew members of Shenzhou-21. So we can only keep them in the space for a few days in the original plan, right? But conditioned on the new plan, based on the delay, they actually have more time in the space, get more exposure in the spatial environment, so that their their responses and the effectiveness of spatial living conditions would have a more significant observable outcome for the scientific research. And also for the coming back of Shenzhou-20, we'll have a more detailed understanding of space debris impact on our spacecrafts.
Absolutely. And more movement on the ground as search and rescue team are getting the final preparation to help our taikonauts out of the return module.
They're also having the protection lines, right?
Protection lines, right. And they're right now conducting a physical check and health consultation on our taikonauts. Live pictures now from Dongfeng landing site. And we're watching pictures of our ground search and rescue team right next to the hatch of the return module of the Shenzhou-20 crew. And the spacecraft is quite unusual in the sense that it is the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft. We're hearing communication between the command center and the staff on the ground. Let's hear the taikonauts. And we could be hearing from our taikonauts any moment now because the physical check has already completed and seems that they're in good condition. And the exterior of the return module also looks fine, which is a good sign, meaning that this landing was conducted pretty smoothly.
Oh, we can see what I mentioned, the beacon just now.
And this is a moment, a very unusual moment. Every time when we have live coverage of the return missions, it's usually a breathtaking moment for all of us following it closely. Was that from the commander?
Exactly.
I cannot
That must be
distinguish.
Commander Chэнь Duan.
And the scientists from the command center are paying their respect to our taikonauts, and they also said that we're welcoming, we're waiting you to come back in triumph to Beijing.
You may notice at the side wall of our capsule, it's in different color. It's due to the influence of the burn of the high temperature to the ablative material.
Of course. So this landing process and the re-entry into the atmospheric entry process exposes the return module and our astronauts to extreme heat and pressure.
And you can see one of the window. So that's the same location of the window on Shenzhou-20 spacecraft. So you can see how serious and how careful we are to ensure the safety of our astronauts. Even a small crack, we consider changes spaceship.
Yeah. So safety is always the top priority when it comes to manned missions to space.
Yeah.
It seems that the local weather is getting windy as we speak. The flags.
I think one reason we choose the spring and autumn for our missions is to have a good balance. You see that in winter, usually the climate in Jiutian Launch Center is not very friendly to everyone.
Unpredictable.
It's so cold and so windy.
So it seems that they're retrieving
So this is sampling
gas
of the
samples.
gas inside the cabin. So this is a very important thing for our scientific research to the further development, improvement of our life support system.
And this is a regular routine for
This
every
is regular,
return mission.
yeah, for every mission, even for unmanned spacecrafts.
For unmanned as well.
I can still remember during the Shenzhou-20 mission, during our previous live coverage of CCTV news, we can see this procedure.
That was years ago,
2011.
2011. And we are anticipating the moment when our taikonauts,
So
Commander
I
Chэнь
believe that the
Duna
three chairs has been prepared for our three heroes to go out of the cabin.
Yes. Right now it's almost 5 p.m. Beijing time, and our taikonauts, the spacecraft, undocked from the Tiangong space station earlier today. They were on their journey back to Earth. It took them about 3 hours. And some area close to the return module on the landing site has been cordoned off. And this is to ensure the maximum safety of our taikonauts.
So you may notice our the national flags, the influence of the wind. So that's very important factor where we must consider even after the final approach or the final prediction of our landing log coordinate, we still need to consider about the influence of the wind, because after deployment of our main parachute, nothing we can do. So the wind will influence the final precise location of the landing site.
Yeah.
So the weather forecasting is a very important subsystem for our landing site.
Yeah. This is our special live broadcast of the return mission of Shenzhou-20 crew. And the crew, 3 taikonauts, spent more than 200 days in space. Commander Chэнь Duna is a veteran astronaut. This is his 3rd mission in space, and he had a cumulative stay in space for over 400 days. And also we'll be seeing operator Cheng Zhongrui and flight engineer Wang Cze.
Still, at this moment, Mr. Wu Fei, another one from Inner Mongolia, is orbiting Earth in our Tiangong space station. He is the youngest astronaut ever in China.
Right. A lot of Chinese astronauts share so many things in common. Many of them were previously fighter pilots from the People's Liberation Army.
But today we can see more and more scientists and engineers join our teams of astronauts.
Exactly.
So this is because, you know, that, as I mentioned, the major task of our Tiangong space station is conducting all kinds of scientific research. With their knowledge and with their experience in engineering and scientific research, we can have more important returns from these scientific research activities.
And our astronauts are becoming more versatile, as a lot of them not only conduct scientific researches, but also, you know, give space lectures to students on Earth.
Right. Yeah. And Ms. Wang Yaping, our first space teacher, also expressed her wish to conduct a Tiangong class on the lunar surface.
Of course.
And one of the taikonauts for this crew, Wang Cze, actually mentioned that because he was from Inner Mongolia, when he was a student, he observed that the very first astronaut Yang Liwei coming back to the Inner Mongolia satellite sites and got inspired to a generation of young people, and he was one of the young people devoted to the career of doing space science and technology. Yeah.
The scientific spirits, and as well as the spirits of perseverance, of patience, of commitments, have inspired generations of people in China, especially the younger generation, who aspire to become heroes like them.
As Professor Sui mentioned, Mr. Wang Cze is also an engineer who is engaged in many space activities before. So he is the right person to be selected as an astronaut. And you know that next time, you know that we already have our astronauts from Hong Kong and Macau in now the fourth batch of our astronauts. And sooner or later, we will have the astronaut from Pakistan to conduct a short visit to our Tiangong space station. Later.
And we could expect a greater diversity of backgrounds in our astronauts.
Right. And our space missions are not just benefiting China, it's actually benefiting to the whole humankind, to all the countries in the world. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And we'll see more and more valuable international collaborations on the scientific research and even on the new crews of further space tasks.
And according to our medics on the ground, all 3 taikonauts are in good physical condition.
I believe the 3 ground vehicles dedicated for our astronauts with very comprehensive support already reached the nearby places, one for each astronaut.
So as they are feeling gravity again, what would it feel for them? How does it feel for them to come back to Earth after such extended stay in space, more than 6 months this time?
You know that Mr. Zhai Zhigang, the commander who conducted the first half a year duration in outer space, mentioned that even with the softest bed, you still feel inconvenient.
Yeah.
It's really hard for us to imagine the challenges and the feelings, But I think one way we can, in some way, estimate the feeling is that suppose that we are lying in bed for a long time, right? So, and then you suddenly get up, stand up from the bed, then you may feel very weird, right? So, and I think that feeling is not is in some way close to, but not exactly the same to the challenges that they are facing, because they got used to zero gravity for quite a long time.
Right. Well, many of us do not have the luxury or the capability to feel zero gravity in space, but a lot of us have spent a long time in water and swimming pool or in the ocean. So I guess that's the feeling, the moment that we step out of the water. Is it similar to the zero gravity kind of feeling?
That's right. One important training for our EVA is in the water pool called the neutral buoyancy pool in Astronaut Center of China. You know, this is the first one to conduct this is Bud Aldrin, because he is a fan of the water diving, scuba diving. So his experience helped him to conduct the first very successful EVA in history in about 1966. So all countries, all space-capable nations conduct this EVA training inside the water pool, no exception.
Gravity feels heavy, but it also feels real. And I guess for our taikonauts, it feels surreal to be feeling
so
gravity
this is
again.
also the similar challenge for the 4 miles, because they stayed in outer space longer, and they do not have a re-adaptation training for this duration.
Right.
Do you think there's a possibility that they could lose their consciousness as they return to Earth?
I think we'll probably hear more about their scientific research, but still that they don't have any training or prior knowledge on what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
They're probably just going to feel very weird, but don't know why.
Tough moment for them.
Because you know that we choose cage, not seat or any belt to fix the mice. So their paws can grab the case very tightly during the re-entry, so to against the vibration. So because you know that we chose the strongest ones among all the black mice. So I believe that they can adapt this very crucial condition. condition.
Of course, it also depends on individual difference. We'll
exactly.
see what's going to happen.
And also,
to them.
even they are chosen due to their with some psychological examination.
And now, ambulances are also on standby at the landing site.
So we can see the ground vehicle in orange color are the ground vehicle for the support of the medics of our astronaut system. So all these 3 ground vehicles belongs to the astronaut system. It even have toilets inside to help our astronauts. And I believe they will take an airplane to go back to Beijing today. This, I believe this at night today.
So the adaptation process after they return to Earth, how long could it usually take?
It's varying depending on different persons. So someone maybe very soon they will readapt with this. What impressed me very impressively is Miss the Samantha Cristoforetti, an Italian female astronaut. She can even walk after her mission back home.
Immediately after stepping out of the...
Only several hours maybe. So this shows that he has very intensive, very good exercise during her mission on board the International Space Station, and she is strong enough for the walk. Because I believe that this is only under the permission of the medics on the ground to ensure that she is already strong enough to walk. Even only several hours after landing.
Yeah, so that's one of the major challenges for long duration, missions in the space. Without gravity, even our taikonauts, so they have a very intensive plan of doing physical exercises, but still the gradual losing of muscles and bones is a big challenge.
Absolutely. And a delay of return missions is not unprecedented in global space operations. For example, earlier this year, a mission, 2 NASA astronauts got stuck in space. The mission was originally planned to last for a week, but they had to spend
more than
9 months in space.
So comparing with other countries, look, this time we met similar problems, but we only have a 9-day delay. For Soyuz MS-22 spacecraft, it was also hit by a debris and caused a leak on the propulsion module, and the 3 crew members delayed for half a year. And for the pilots of the Starliner spaceship, they even stayed there, as you mentioned, for 9 months. So this advantage of the system we designed, it is optimized on system level.
So again, just to walk our audience through of this design, the advantage of the system is that the Shenzhou program has a rolling standby policy for emergencies with rockets and spacecraft on near readiness position. They could be launched within 8.5 days or in some cases 16 days.
Yeah, exactly. So we have 2 choices, and we have some kind of rehearsal for this procedure. It's already been examined and it works.
So they're always on standby. Our astronauts up in space could be assured, even if any emergency happens in space, there are always contingency plans and they are always able to be brought safely back home. Now the chairs are ready for our taikonauts.
Chэнь Duна.
01, Commander Chэнь Duna is ready to step out of the return module.
So this is the chair for Commander Chэнь Duna.
Right. Let's see how he's doing. And the ground staff is carefully helping him out.
东风，雄鹰报告。雄鹰鸟。动1航天员已出舱，报告完毕。
There we are.
He's waving to the
Welcome back
audience.
home, Commander Chэнь Duna.
He's waving to us.
Yeah. He's in good good health, it seems. And Commander Chén Duна, this is his third time in space, and he was the commander of 2 previous missions.
Hello, Mr. Chen, welcome back. I'm with CMG. So the Shenzhou-20 crew has postponed its return, and you are now taking the Shenzhou-21 spaceship to come back. Would you like to say something to our country and people? Yes, taking the Shenzhou-21 spaceship has been so rest assured. Our steps to discover the universe, the space will never stop, and it's full of challenges and uncertainties, but that's exactly why we are taking this road. I believe that mission is a great test for all of us, and we are very proud to have finished our missions completely and successfully, and China Aerospace has also fulfilled all of its tasks and missions. And in the past days, we have received a lot of attention and care from the country and the people. And we deeply feel that the manned space flight missions of China has always put the priority, give priority to people's life, to the taikonaut safety. And we have successfully fulfilled our mission and safely returned home. I want to thank our country, support, and all of the professionals who have contributed to our safe return. We are back and we're proud of our country. Thank you.
A very emotional moment. He expressed his appreciation for his counterparts, fellow colleagues, scientists, and for the country. Commander Chén Duna was born in 1978. He's now 47 years old, and he broke the record for spending the longest time in space, more than 400 days cumulatively. Ground staff are helping him to the support vehicle, where he's going to have a good rest. And he's waving to the public, to the search and rescue team on the ground. This is CGTN's live coverage of the return mission of the Shenzhou-20 mission. We are seeing pictures of Commander Chén Duna being helped out of the return module and being elevated into the life support vehicle. And he's going to head back to Beijing later today, where his family is awaiting. And next to exit the return module will be Chén Zhongrui, the operator of this mission. Professor Sui, usually after the return module touches down on the ground, and when we watch the taikonauts exiting the vessel, what is the primary feeling that it brings out for you?
Yeah, I think I'm very curious about their physical feelings when they finally come back to Earth after, say, in the early days, we would say they spend several days in the space. Then going back would be an easier thing. But later and later, recently, our crews spend over sometimes over half a year in the space. Yeah, so their physical feelings would be very interesting.
Here is operator Chén Zhongrui. His number is 02 of this Shenzhou-20 mission.
And you see that our technology to protect the astronauts are better and better in terms of the design of the chairs and also
Let's hear him.
Hello, Mr. Chén Zhongrui. Welcome back. You've been in space for more than half a year now. You're safely returned Earth. What would you like to share with us? Well, April the 24th, we set off to space, and we carried out a mission of around half a year. And we've been working closely together with my colleagues and crew members, and we have fulfilled all of our missions and the task handled by us, by the party and the people. So we are very proud and very happy as part of the mission. So the universe is an immense space, and we want to thank all of our space professionals for your effort and our country for me to fulfill the dream. I wish the country permanently prosperity. Thank you.
He's also waving to the people there, the search and rescue team, and to those watching this return mission. This is certainly a moment of pride, and you could just imagine the mix of exhaustion, of awe, of relief after spending such a long time in space. There was some uncertainty that the crew had to face. There was a minor delay, but here they are back home. The mission took longer than expected, but they are back home, safe and sound. I think through our previous coverage of the previous missions, the chair has become different. As Professor Cui mentioned, it's becoming more advanced, better suited to the positions of our astronauts.
All the life protection systems, the vehicles. Yeah, Mr. Chэнь Chjunjui is sending to, I think this is the medical vehicle number 2.
Mm-hmm. And still more communication between ground control and the search and rescue team at the landing site. And here at the back of the vehicle, we could see some Chinese characters written there. It says, coming back home safely.
I believe we need more of these vehicles because you know that for the next generation Mengzhou spaceship, we can take 7 astronauts one time with one launch to our Tiangong space station.
Yeah. We could just imagine the numbers of vehicles and the greater size of the search and rescue team and a bigger size of the return module.
Yeah. So for the next generation, we can not only support more short duration visits to Tiangong space station, but also to, according to the final announcement of China Manned Space Agency, we can also have space tourism.
Yeah, a greater complexity of the system. And here we are. Wang Cze is out of the return module. Welcome back home.
The first one of in Mongolia from outer space.
Right. And Wang Cze is the flight engineer of the Shenzhou-20 mission. He's also the youngest of the 3 crew members. And let's hear him, SCMG reporter speaking to him.
Hello, Mr. Wang Cze, welcome back. So you've been in space for about 200 days. So what is your plan next? Well, after half a year, I'm finally safely returned home and feel gravity again. It feels great. So this space trip is not only a chance for me to fulfill my dreams, but also a trip full of challenges and difficulties. And I've also grown and learned a lot. I want to thank all of the people who have supported me and care about me. I believe that the success of the mission would not be possible without the effort of all the aerospace professionals of China. And it represents that China is now making huge progress in aerospace, and especially manned space missions. And in the future, I will still remain firmly part of this effort and contribute to what I can to this mission. Thank you. The 3 taikonauts will be taking on the medical team and they will be taking the special flight to come back to Beijing to get recovered from the mission.
All right, so there was this latest information that our taikonauts will undergo a certain period of adaptation process to adjust them back to gravity right next to the landing site.
Yeah, exactly.
How long does it take?
It depends. Usually about 1 or 2 weeks. Most time they will lie down and conduct all kinds of medical checking, and also they will do more exercise gradually. And at the second stage, they can stand more every day, and finally they will go back to ordinary training.
And right after their arrival, they will spend about 2 hours to 3 hours for the very short gravity readjustment or refamiliar process. Yeah.
And now, according to the latest information from Beijing, the Aerospace Command Center, the return mission of the Shenzhou-20 spacecraft of the Shenzhou-20 crew is now declared a success. Congratulations, our taikonauts. Welcome back home. This is really a moment of pride, a moment of exhaustion, of all of relief, especially, I guess, for the families of these taikonauts waiting, sometimes in anxiety, I have to say.
Right. Yeah. So, and you can even see from their gestures of waving. So if you look carefully, you see their gestures are not as normal as from our daily activities, because re-adaptation to gravity is a quite challenging thing after so long time in space.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they moving more slowly than what we usually?
You actually can see them moving faster than a natural, say, a very easy hand waving, right? Because they really want to do the fine adjustments of their body under the new gravity condition instead of in the space.
And what really touched me most is that at this moment of, you know, considering how much they went through, a lot of them were still saying that I wish to contribute more to our country, to the development of space exploration.
I believe this will not be their last flight missions. You know that you mentioned that Mr. Cheng Dong is the veteran. Now we have 3 veterans.
Yeah.
So 2 more veterans. You know that Mr. Wang Cze and Mr. Cheng Chjunjui, I believe they are so young, and in the future they also have plenty of chances to go back to outer space again, including maybe more missions to our Tiangong space station and also maybe possible missions to the lunar surface. So today we are not only preparing for our scientific research about our Tiangong space station. Next year we will launch our first test vehicle of our Mengzhou, or the next generation manned spaceship to dock with Tiangong space station, and also it will be the maiden flight of our Long March 10 launch vehicle. So that will be the version for low Earth orbit, and all these can be recognized as the preparation for our second millennium dream to walk on the lunar surface.
Both of you repeatedly mentioned the mice that our taikonauts brought up to space, and we haven't seen any visuals of them being brought out of the return module.
It's still in the re-entry capsule. So you know that today the capsule will also be brought back to Beijing by airplane, and the application system is in charge of these experiments, including the biological study. So they will bring these mice out of the cabin and take good care of these 4 mice.
Yeah, that's also a significant part of the Shenzhou-20 mission. So we watched the entire process of the return. It's pretty remarkable that our taikonauts are safely back home after extended stay in space. Overall, from your perspective, Professor Yang, what has been the biggest achievement of the Shenzhou-20 mission so far?
I believe this is the first time or a good example of our capability, our ability to facing the uncertainty. You know that today, with the threat of the debris becomes more and more serious. So sooner or later, as Professor Sui has mentioned, it do happen this time. And this time, we can have the best choice, and we have the all preparations, including the backup spaceship and the backup rocket, and with the choice of to take the Shenzhou-20 crew back home with the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft, and all these things go so smoothly. So it shows that we prepared to facing these challenges and these uncertainties, and in the future, I believe we can facing more things challenging. So today, also, this is a good example that we always recognize the safety and the life of our astronauts comes first.
Right. Our scientists have always had this contingency plans in place, and this, as you mentioned, Professor Sui, was the moment to really use it to try if it's going to work, if it works properly and safely for our taikonauts.
Right. And also, I want to say that this time, our two crews had longer time to work together and live together in the space. And in the future, we have the expectation that there will be more and more people coming up to the space in our space station. So their work and live together for a longer period of time will also bring back valuable experiences facing towards, if there are more and more people living simultaneously in the space in our space station, what could be improved and what has been already satisfied.
The uncertainties that the crew overcame, and of course the the unexpected adjustment of the time schedule is a very important part, a valuable part of space exploration, because it really space exploration is a journey that takes us to the unexpected.
Yeah, the change of the schedule also is a challenge to all crew of the all systems, in not only the astronaut system, but also that the change also influences the ground staff, including the TT and C system, the astronaut system, the landing site system, together with Shenzhou spaceship and the station system. So the influence have impact in all systems, and we must have good prepare, or even sometimes with some rehearsal for this uncertainty. I can still remember that the astronaut, not only the Shenzhou-20 crew, but also the previous crew, have this kind of rehearsal if the station is impacted by a bigger debris and it is depressurized, we can keep the safety of our astronauts and have an emergency escape from the station.
Now, this, as we mentioned, was the 15th crewed Chinese spacecraft to space flight to space, and the 20th flight overall of the Shenzhou mission. But apparently, it got disrupted a little bit by the debris, the impact from the debris. So the upcoming mission, which is the Shenzhou-22, will be an unmanned mission. Do you see this disruption as a positive thing in China's space exploration programs?
Well, of course, everything has two sides. The advantage is that it's a strong evidence that we can face in this kind of uncertainty, and it is really safe enough. The whole station system is safe enough for our astronauts. The shortcoming, of course, we need to have an additional launch vehicle and an additional Shenzhou spaceship. But also, it brings a chance for us, that after the reaching of the Shenzhou-22 spacecraft to dock to the front docking port of our Tiangong space station, we will conduct the unmanned return of our Shenzhou-20 spacecraft. That this time, without astronaut inside, we can have more payloads to put into the re-entry capsule. So this is also a contribution to our scientific research. That today, the uploading capability is much stronger than the downloading capability. So this is a problem. So in the future, if we can have stronger capability to bring more goods or samples from the station, it's also a good contribution to the scientific research.
I understand one of the missions of the Shenzhou-20 crew was to repair or install some shields on the Tiangong space station, preventing damage from space debris. So in the future, will there be more practices like this, experiments or EVAs like this for this purpose?
Yes, the original plan, and which has already been done, is the protection from the space debris for the space station. Yeah, so that has already been done, and so throughout the process, we gain a lot of new understandings of what could be good passive and active ways to deal with space debris. We're also actively looking to the emerging technologies to protect our vehicles and our astronauts from the unknown space debris dangers.
Can countries collaborate or find some joint initiatives to mitigate the risks of space debris?
Well, you know that I work for the International Astronautical Federation, so the cleaning of the space debris is a very hot topic in many committees in our IAF community. Honestly speaking, it's difficult. You know that we need a lot of resources in active or a passive measure to clean to make it faster to drop from to the atmosphere. But all these need money. So one thing we can do now is to set for the newly launched spacecraft, to the greatest extent, we avoid the produce of new space debris. That's what we can do now. But for cleaning the existing ones, so who will pay for that? So this is a problem. And also, in the international space community, we should have all these kind of regulations to prevent producing more space debris. And there is a very serious theory called the Kessler effect. So if the debris increases to a certain level, it will have a booming. So
escalating effect.
So at that moment, if that happens, the outer space will be no longer usable.
Both the Tiangong space station and the International Space Station have astronauts on board had to perform maneuvers to avoid any collision from space debris.
Exactly.
How serious is the situation?
Actually speaking, several years before, you know that all the space stations orbiting the Earth in the relatively low altitude. So in several decades before, it's not so serious because any space debris going down to this level, it will drop very fast. But because you know that today the total quantity of all debris is increasing so fast. So even at this altitude, very low, so there are still remarkable numbers of space debris. That's a problem. So in the future, I believe that at least now it's become worse and worse. So we must facing this challenge, whether you like it or not.
And gentlemen, now let's take a look at the overview, the review of this mission. After over 200 days in space, the Shenzhou-20 crew is finally returning to Earth with a number of scientific breakthroughs to their name. During their stay, the taikonauts grew high-quality protein crystals that may support future cancer research, heated tungsten alloy to a new world record of 3,100 degrees Celsius, and observed long-lived metastable colloid structures and microgravity for the first time. The crew studied zebrafish, whose genetic structure is more than 70% similar to the human genome, generating valuable data on life systems in space. And they also raised a vegetable garden on board the Tiangong, after the Tianzhou-9 cargo craft delivered new extravehicular activity suits. The older suits were put through a service life assessment, producing important data for future spacewalks. Now, the crew completed 4 spacewalks and 7 payload transfers, where they installed debris shield panels, auxiliary devices, and improved extravehicular activity efficiency. The Shenzhou-20 was due back on Earth on November 5th, but their return was delayed after a suspected micro-debris strike. So certainly a lot of breakthroughs in this mission, a lot of difficulties that our taikonauts had to deal with. Tell us about the experiments, especially on, the animals, the zebrafish, the mice, as well as growing vegetables, the study of plants in space. How valuable are these experiments?
Yeah, so zebrafish experiment is one step ahead of the mice experiments. They were sending up earlier and spending quite some time in the space. As you just mentioned, that zebrafish in terms of the genome is pretty close to human beings. We have 70% overlap of the genome. and how would their biological behaviors and the potential possibility to get diseases like a variety of different cancers, and they're growing under different conditions, like in the space in low gravity, under some level of radiation, is largely unknown, and we cannot expect to be able to do those experiments on Earth, right? We want to use the space as a great new environment for us to investigate those unknowns. So it would possibly leading to the opportunities of, say, discovering, developing new drugs that in the future benefiting to the human cancer treatment or other diseases.
Yeah. You also mentioned the 4 EVAs carried out by the taikonauts of the Shenzhou-20 mission. What is the key challenge when they perform such spacewalks?
We've talked about the impact of the space debris to our spacecraft. It is more dangerous to our astronaut. You know that even the space debris with a size smaller than 0.1 millimeter, it is still dangerous for EVA spacesuit. So it can penetrate the spacesuit and hurt our astronaut. So you know that every time before an EVA, we will have a good preparation, including the calculation of the trajectory of the space debris to avoid any possible collision. But still, for these so tiny space debris, we cannot see them. So we can only strengthen our spacesuit, but it's not always work in all circumstances. So this is also one important challenge for all of us. So we can have all these kind of measures, and one thing we can do is that, you know, that before this mission, we do have, during the Shenzhou-20 mission, we do have a rehearsal that Mr. Chen Dong hold Mr. Cai Xuzhe. Mr. Cai Xuzhe act as he has been defunctioned with, for instance, maybe he was hurt by a space debris, and he can be brought back by Mr. Chen Dong. So we have this kind of rehearsal before. So this is also can be recognized as a good preparation for this kind of possibility. So in the future, we will not only improve our EVA spacesuit, but also do this kind of rehearsal and training for our astronauts.
And now let's get the latest with our reporter Sun Ye. Well, Sun Ye, of course, you've been following this very closely. The Shenzhou-20 crew has returned to Earth and exited the re-entry module, marking an end to their mission in space. And tell us what you were seeing there on the ground. Give us the latest.
The Shenzhou-20 crew have landed back home here on Earth. Now, their return was originally scheduled to happen on November the 5th, but was postponed due to a suspected impact from small space debris on the Shenzhou-20 spacecraft, and that spacecraft have since been declared unfit for the return mission. And now the 3 taikonauts have come back home to Earth aboard the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft. And the 3 taikonauts appear to be in good health and in high spirits. Experts here have confirmed that, and the 3, upon landing, they have repeated again and again that they are very proud to be part of this enterprise, and they are very, very thankful for all the people thinking of them. Now, as for all the people here at the Dongfeng landing site welcoming the 3 taikonauts home, they have been cheering really loud. They have been calling to the taikonauts, 欢迎回家, welcome home. 你们辛苦了. You've worked really hard. Now, the China Manned Space Agency had said that after the postpone of their return, emergency plans and emergency measures have immediately been activated, and all through the whole process for working for their return, the guiding principle have been human life first and safety first. The Shenzhou-20 crew has altogether spent over 200 days in the space station, the longest for any Shenzhou crew, and they have completed a lot in their mission. They have had 4 space walks. They have installed put debris protection device. They have set up external support systems. They had a range of scientific and technological assignments. That's a really long trip, and now they would rest, and they sure deserve a good rest.
Thank you so much, Sunye,
for
bringing us the latest from the landing site. And I'd like to thank my guests here, Professor Yang Yuguang and Professor Sui Yanan. Thank you so much for bringing us your expertise in the past 2 hours. From orbit to home soil, the safe return of Shenzhou-20 crew closes another chapter of courage and precision and opens the next in China's space exploration. A fiery re-entry, a gentle landing, and a powerful reminder that our journey beyond Earth is only just beginning. The desert winds of Inner Mongolia welcome home the taikonauts of Shenzhou-20, a mission that brings humanity one step closer to the stars and to greater cosmic adventures ahead. We're going to leave you now with some of the key moments from this journey. Stay tuned on CTTN. you.